Sama Mesa.
Mic test, mic test. 1, 2, 3. Good, good. Thank you.
Test. 1, 2.
President Tino, please come up. Yes. Your attention, please. We've been told that there's extreme traffic, so we're going to start in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I'm proud of you. Your wife said that you didn't put her to work today.
Oh, that's because she was working.
Stephanie Bernal is supposed to be
Good evening. Congress will start in 2 minutes. Please make your way to your seats. Hi, Governor. Good morning. Good evening. Oh, Fred. Huh? They're not here. They're not. Yeah.
We do not have pressured voters for the second, first delegate. We do not have sidekicks first or second. We only have, we're missing a voter for Chumon, but Pete is here.
Okay.
If I need to switch, but we're missing
Sidekicks, huh?
two sidekicks and
Yeah.
Traffic is bad, so it's bad. Traffic is bad.
Yeah, so that's why.
Especially because of JFK.
Keep in mind that yes, how many do you have?
Exco, you're all here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
So we ready? Yep.
I know
No.
traffic is really bad, especially because JFK is double. Yeah.
Half a day, everyone. Welcome to the Guam Football Association's 2023 Ordinary Congress here at the Hyatt Regency Guam Hotel on Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. The time is 6:09. We welcome our football family after a series of nonstop activities that included recovering from Typhoon Marwar, the leagues, club development, coach and referee educations, national team training and competitions, AFC online and in-person conferences, and we just recently concluded the FIFA World Cup 2026 joint qualifier against Singapore last Tuesday. Tonight, our focus is on Congress. On behalf of the GFA Executive Committee, we are pleased to welcome all the member club delegates, the Electoral Committee, GFA Legal Counsel, and the candidates that were able to join us today, along with our support staff from GFA. Please welcome our special guests from FIFA and AFC who are with us tonight in this ballroom from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Please welcome FIFA Lead Regional Office, Kuala Lumpur, Mr. Lavin Vignesh. FIFA Development Officer, Mr. Chen Jun CJ. FIFA Regional Technical Consultant, Mr. Mike Wong. AFC Executive of East Asia Unit, MA Division, Mr. Bowen Ying. And AFC Head of East Asia Unit, AFC MA Division, Ms. Yasuko Takano. Before we proceed to our business agenda of the evening, President Valentino Sengil would like to open the floor with his welcome speech.
Thank you, General Secretary Joe Spada. The Honorable Lourdes Longuerel, the Governor of Guam, I'd like to welcome you to the GFA Congress 2023. Also, our guests from FIFA, Lavin, CJ, and Mike. Lavin, this is your first time in Guam, so enjoy the hospitality here. Thank you for coming. Okay. Also from AFC, we have Bowen and Ms. Takano. So thank you again for being here present to oversee the election. Thank you. Presidents of the MAs, or the clubs, sorry. General secretaries, guests, our electoral committee, our distinguished guests from abroad, and also the members from the different clubs that are here for voting. Thank you for showing up today for this special event. And today we will have an election for 5 new board members. So I know the governor has a very limited time with us, so I'm going to have her do a little short speech. Thank you, Governor.
So I don't know if you can see me, but I'll continue on. I want to thank the Guam Football Association for the opportunity to share some remarks with you. And I also want to say thank you for convening this 2023 Guam Football Association Congress. I also want to personally welcome the officials from AFC and our guests from the FIFA organization. Thank you and welcome to Guam. You will find that Guam is a very hospitable country or island, just like all over Asia that we experience. So please take advantage and make sure you spend your money. We always like to have economic innovation and stimulation. Again, thank you, President Valentino Sangil, for the opportunity to share in these very amazing strides that your team has made both locally and on the international stage. We are joined here tonight for the first time in years with representatives from FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation as we look forward into what the future has in store for GFA. Growth planning for the next generation is not easy. Following the recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic on Guam, our island was hit with another major setback, Typhoon Mawar. But among the destructive winds, the extensive damages, and the halting of many community activities to include our national team's training, I am pleased to say that the Guam Football Association swiftly opened their doors again. And I think that's a demonstration of the great leadership behind this association. I want to take the time to highlight some of the FIFA, our Guam Football Association accomplishments are. Locally, GFA, through the assistance of Higher Education Admission and Development Program, provided student athletes an opportunity to receive a scholarship to fund their post-secondary education while remaining committed to the art of the sport. GFA continues to work tirelessly with nonprofit organizations on Guam, such as the Special Olympics, to provide football activities for the youth and create a stimulating environment to fuel a lifelong passion of learning. GFA is one of the many instrumental groups on the island dedicated to emphasizing and prioritizing our youth social and mental health through their Football for Schools program in participating with the Guam Police Department and the Guam Airport Police. Through the global lens, our island has been the hub of two major international football tournaments this year, welcoming elite level football to Guam. FIFA World Cup 26 and the AFC Asian Cup Saudi Arabia joint preliminary qualifications. Just last week, Guam had the opportunity to host the Singapore national team for the World Cup qualifiers. I want to thank FIFA, the Guam Federation Football Association, and its supporters for their continued commitment to spread the art of football across our community and taking our island to the global pitch as we become nationally recognized in the world of football. In closing, while we have our officials here, I just want to say thank you for all your support and your commitment, and thank you in your mission to provide access of our youth to football and to make sure that nationally through sports and through youth involvement that we can all better bond together and lift up the lives of our people. Again, thank you FIFA, thank you AFC, and I want to just make sure that your investment is very much used here in Guam for the greater good and the benefit of our people of Guam. So once again, thank you and Sidzus Masi.
Thank you, Governor. It's always a pleasure to have her attend our functions here, but more so, it's a pleasure to have her engage with our mission. At this time, I'd like to proceed with the call to order, but before that, I'd like to share some housekeeping rules with you. Number one, the tablet on your table entails all the materials that you have received on October 9th, 2023, which is related to today's Congress. If you need assistance, kindly seek for Sherry Stewart's help. Mobile phones should be turned off or set on the silent mode. Mobile phones shall not be permitted into the polling booth during the election. Should you wish to speak, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone to be presented to you before you speak. The voting delegates are to utilize the yes and no placard that is placed on your table. Can I have just to verify that the delegates have, please raise your green card. Yes, thank you. As we have an election of members to the executive committee, the process for the said election will be explained by the electoral committee when we reach item N of the agenda. We may now proceed to items on the agenda. May we begin to conduct the roll call, followed by the declaration that this Congress has been convened and composed in compliance with the statutes of GFA. May the voting delegates of each member clubs present tonight use the yes placard and to verbally acknowledge your club's presence when I call the club's name for roll call. Crushers, Mr. Ryan Shipman. Dedero, Mr. Vance Manabusen. Islanders, Ms. Jean Cepeda. Quality, Mr. Edson Lai. Rovers, Mr. Joel Sablan. Sidekicks, Mr. Jarek Cruz. Green card, you have a green card? Thank you. Southern Cobras, Ms. Doreen Rivera. I'm sorry, correction. Lori Alec. Thank you. Southern Heat, Mr. Fred Esteves. Strikers, Mr. Keith Dixon. Tumon, Mr. Randall Conliffe. Tigers did not register for Congress, so they are absent at this point. Wings, Mr. Rajesh Kurian. Wolverines, Mr. Peter Tovis. We have 11 clubs present, Mr. President. Thank you for acknowledging your presence. We have 11 of 13 member clubs present. Thereby, we have a quorum, simple majority, and can proceed to declare that the Congress has been convened and composed in compliance with the GFA statutes. Before we proceed to approve the declaration of the Congress, I would like to open the floor for any discussion on the motion. Should there be any discussion, please wait until our staff assists you with presenting the microphone to you. Thank you. Are there any open discussions at this point? Thank you. Attention to the voting delegates of each member. Kindly utilize the yes or no placard that are in front of you for all upcoming motions, and please keep the placard raised until all votes have been counted. All in favor of the motion to approve the declaration? 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 clubs approve the motion, and the motion has passed and approved. Proceeding to item C of the agenda, or amend the agenda. The supporting details of the agenda has been transmitted to the presidents of each member club on the 9th of October 2023, in addition to hard copies on the table before you. Is there any motion to amend the agenda? If there are no motions to amend the agenda, may we proceed to approve the agenda using your placard? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 clubs approve the motion, and the motion has approved or is approved. It is my pleasure now to turn the floor over to GFA President, Mr. Valentino Sangil, to provide his opening remarks. President Sangil, you have the floor.
Testing. This year and last year, I mean, starting from last year to this year, we had a very, a rough year because of the pandemic, and then of course of this year because of the typhoon. But the executive committee made it a point that everything will go on as planned, even though of the typhoon damages. So for national teams, for last year and this year, we sent out 10 teams. We did not stop any teams from participating in any tournament. So some of the tournaments that we participated was the U23 in Vietnam for the boys, the U17 in Indonesia for the boys, of course the Macau for the World Cup, the under-23 men's and women's in Saipan. Then we had a women's futsal that played in Philippines. We had a U17 girls that went to, that played here in Guam for the U17 AFC. Then we had a U19 girls that went over to Kyrgyzstan Republic. Not only that, we also had a U20 boys that went to Laos and a U15 boys that participated last month in Qingdao. Our upcoming tournament is the end of the month or end of the year. We have the women's team going to play over at Zhuhai. Not only that we had these tournaments, we also had 2 camps. One camp for the women's and one camp for the men's. In fact, the men's had 2 camps because they had another camp in Philippines before they went over to Singapore to play. The other thing that we're very proud of is football for schools. Last year we had 23, or this year we had 23 teams from the different schools, public and private, that participated in football for schools. A total of 46 teams from the different elementary schools, 23 boys and 23 girls teams. We're looking for this coming year, or next year, to have all 32 teams participate. So that will bring it up to 64 teams. So this is one of the accomplishments that we are very proud of, because even FIFA is looking at coming here to observe and study how we're able to accomplish this. Now for coaching education, we have 2 ladies that are participating right now as we speak in Philippines. They're taking their A license course, and that is Kimberly Sherman and Christian Thompson. Also, we had 2 men, Jude Bishkoff and Ralph Awa, taking their B license, being conducted by Japan Football over in Saipan. So they're still ongoing with their course. We also had conducted a lot of D and C license courses here on island with our technical director, Ross Awa, okay? For D-Lice, we had 32 participants already that passed, and we have a total of about, I think, 20-some this year for C, okay? Also, Ralph Awa has accepted to the FIFA Technical Director Pro Diploma Program. And this is almost a 2-year program that he has to fulfill to become a technical director for GFA. So right now, he's still ongoing with this course. In the referee side, of course, that was our biggest concern. We needed more referees because we had more teams participating. But with George Stewart taking the helm and training more referees, last year we had 82 referees, but this year we have 108. So there's an additional of 26 new referees. But we're still lacking referees in the adults. So we're continuing to upgrade all those older referees for both men and women. Of course, the World Cup qualifier. The World Cup qualifier that just happened was a very special event. And one of the reasons it was a combination of both young players and of course our older players. And it was a good mix. I mean, if you watch the match here on island, the score was only 1-0. So we're looking at developing more younger players, because our older players are aging. So those are the priorities that we're looking at, okay? Our typhoon recovery. If you look at your booklet, you can see the typhoon damages that we incurred, and it's over $3 million. And that's why FIFA and AFC are here. They want to look over the damage and do the assessment of what they can offer to help us in repairing our facility and get it back up to par. Of course, our biggest concern is our tower lights. And we want those things to be repaired so that we can start playing night games. So thank you again, CJ and Bowen, for coming out here. Now, the other thing that they're here for is the infrastructure. I know we've been talking about infrastructure for the past 2 years, but the biggest obstacle in the last 2 years was the cost of clearing and grading. But this year, we were able to get reasonable bids, thanks to Craig Waite and his committee. We were able to get some really great bids that now we can be able to afford to start these projects. So thank you, Craig. Another thing that we're proud of is that at the end of this month, on October 31st, GFA has been nominated for the AFC Member Association of the Year, the Ruby. And so we'll find out if we're able to win that award. And also we were nominated for Grassroots. So we'll find out by the end of the year or by October 31st. We have here Mike Wong from the technical department for FIFA. And what happened was FIFA has given us a TDS coach, a talent development coach. So we're waiting for this coach to process his documents so he can start work here on island. So he's here, but I don't see Mike here yet, but he'll be here to explain how that process worked. Another thing that we're very proud is the scholarships. We would like to mention that we gave out $11,000 worth of scholarship. And this money did not come from GFA. This money all came from donations from Mr. Lai and his family, George Lai's family, Eliza Cipollone. As you know, Teddy Cipollone was one of our players on our national team. And so Eliza came up to me and asked if she could donate some scholarship funds in behalf of Teddy. We also had scholarships given also by Grace Martinez, who passed away. Her family gave to that fund. and also to Coach Lester. His family also donated. The other clubs that donated too were from the Wings and from the Islanders, and also from Rhoda Bamba and her family. She gave funding for scholarships for referees that are attending the university or colleges. So in all, these are some of the accomplishments that we made for the last 2 years. And there's more in that booklet. There's lots of information there. So please take some time to look it over. And I thank you again for helping GFA become where it is right now. And I'd like to wish the candidates good luck in today's election. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sengil, for your heartfelt speech and presentation. At this time, I'd like to recognize the Crushers delegate, Mr. Shippey. Welcome. Moving to item E of the agenda, to appoint 2 non-voting delegates to be the official minute checkers of today's event. We would like to present to the Congress the nomination of Ms. Francine Marie Ovalle from Wings and Ms. Stephanie Bordalio from Sidekicks. Stephanie, are you here? Yes, all right. Please use your placard. All in favor of the first and second minute checkers? 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 clubs of 12. Approve the motion. Ms. Sherry Stewart will provide you guidelines in your roles of today's event via email after the event. Okay. Proceeding to item F, appointment of 2 scrutineers to check the voting on non-election matters. The 2 scrutineers will assist with 4 agenda items: approval of the minutes, approval of the audited financial statements of the previous periods, and votes on amendments to the GFA statutes. We would like to present to the Congress the nomination of Mr. John Barnhart from Dedido and Ms. Alexi Dakanai from Strikers. Please use your placard. All in favor of the first and second scrutineers? We have 12. 12 clubs approve. Thank you. Thank you for your assistance. May I ask Mr. Barnhart and Ms. Malaka to proceed to the table with Ms. Stewart for brief instructions before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. Thank you. For item G, suspension or expulsion of members, at this point, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Curtis Vanderbilt, the council. Curtis, you have the floor.
Test. So this is the first time that we have an issue about suspension of a member. And if you look at the tab that we have for the agenda on your computer unit, it indicates it contains the letter that had been sent on September 13 to Tigers SC concerning the fact of their failure to comply with the requirements of staffing sufficient teams. The GFA has done a lot to try to encourage all of the member clubs to get properly enrolled with the government and then to resurrect their activities and to make sure that you were in compliance with the minimum obligations of having sufficient teams, 3 youth teams, 1 adult women, 1 adult men's team. And unfortunately, Tigers SC has not complied with that obligation, though they have 2 youth teams. And because the statutes that relate to suspension provide, for example, at Article 18.1.b, that members shall have the following obligations, which is to take part in competitions or other sporting activities organized by GFA. The minimum participation to remain in good standing are to include 3 youth teams, 1 men's team, and 1 women's team. That obligation then led to the suspension because of its non-compliance. Now, the next issue is under Article 18.1.j, 18.2, and 18.3, the statutes provide that as members, you may not maintain any relationship of a sporting nature with entities that are not recognized by GFA or members that have been suspended or expelled. Item 2 says violation of the above-mentioned obligations by any member may lead to sanctions provided in these statutes. Item 3 says violation of paragraph I, F, and G may also lead to sanctions, even if the third-party influence was not the fault of the member concerned. Each member of GFA is responsible towards GFA for any and all acts of their members and their bodies, regardless whether it's as a result of negligence. So then we have Article 19, which provides that at item 1, that the Congress is responsible for suspending a member. The executive committee may, however, temporarily suspend a member that seriously and or repeatedly violates its obligation as a member with immediate effect. And the EXCO has suspended Tigers SC. The suspension approved by the executive committee shall last until the next Congress unless the executive committee has lifted the suspension. That has not occurred. So the requirements are that there has to now be a vote whether or not to continue the suspension. The requirements is that there must be 2/3 approval of the suspension. However, you have the authority as the Congress to determine whether or not Tigers SC can still participate in football activities as far as having a team and participating in competition. Because GFA has long been concerned about the benefit for children, the fact that Tigers SC does staff 2 children's teams, it is up to the members whether or not you wish to accept from that provision of the statutes the restriction against Tigers SC participating in sporting activities. It does not, the ability for them to vote or to otherwise nominate people for office would still continue if that's the type of suspension that you choose. Otherwise, it's up to you whether or not to suspend at all. And in order for the suspension to continue, it must be approved by 2/3 vote. So if one member club wants to propose a modification of the suspension to still allow Tigers SC to field teams and for competition to still occur with those teams. That we leave to you to decide. Someone would have to make a motion to that respect, and it would have to be seconded. If there is no such motion, then what will be voted on will be just a total suspension of Tigers SC. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
At this point, I think we are moving on to the section of the voting on the suspension. At this, Mr. Hirecki, please, you have the floor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Guam Football Association and our FIFA and AFC guests. First, I'd like to introduce ourselves as the Electoral Committee. I'm Fred Hirecki, the chairman. To my right is Dr. Hiro Kurashina, the deputy, and Brad Huseman. Also, Clarissa Padua in the back there will also be assisting us. On behalf of the Electoral Committee, it is my pleasure to explain the process and voting procedure for the decision as to whether a member club, the Tigers, should be suspended. I will now explain how tonight's secret vote will proceed. The ballots have been produced with options of suspension and no suspension. And there's a box next to each option. Ballots for each voting club have been provided to the Electoral Committee by the GFA Secretariat. The voting delegates are to vote by placing a mark in the box next to the item of the voting delegate's decision. The mark may be an X, a check, a filling in or shading of the box, or other mark clearly indicating the voter's intent to select a particular decision. The possibilities, again, are suspension or no suspension. No other mark on the ballot, other than a mark in the box next to the decision, will be counted as a valid vote. The following ballots will be considered as spoiled. Ballots that bear any words other than the decisions labeled on the ballot. Ballots that are left blank. Ballots that are illegible or have been defaced, and ballots that bear identifying marks. Before the start of voting, the ballot box, now before you on the table here, the election committee table. And I'll have Mr. Huseman demonstrate that the box is empty and that there are currently no votes in the ballot box. Okay, thank you, Brad. Dr. Kurashina, could you now count the number of ballots to determine how many ballots the Electoral Committee has received for the vote? All right. We have received 12 ballots for the vote. The polling booth, as you can see, is right here. It's to my left. And the reason for the voting booth, of course, is to allow each voting delegate to complete the ballot in private in accordance with the GFA statutes. Please be reminded that no mobile phones are permitted in the polling booth. Those phones should be left at the table where you are seated. I will call each voting delegate to come to the table where Dr. Hiro Kurashina is seated to my right. The delegate will sign the electoral register to obtain the ballot. The voting delegate will complete the ballot in the polling booth and upon completion, proceed to the table where Mr. Huesman is seated, and the ballot will be folded by the delegate in half and deposited into the ballot box in front of Mr. Huesman. The delegate will sign a second electoral register indicating that such delegate has voted. That register is with Mr. Huesman. Based on the quorum of today's meeting, we have 12 eligible clubs to submit their votes. I now verify that there are 12 ballots before us. As General Secretary Joe Cepeda had indicated, and also Curtis Vanderbilt, in Article 19.2, there is a quorum composed of a majority. We have a quorum present. As per Article 19.3, the motion for suspension is only passed if adopted by a 2/3 majority of the valid votes cast. If not confirmed by a 2/3 majority, the suspension is automatically lifted. For the 12 eligible clubs present today, a 2/3 majority will require at least 8-member clubs to approve a suspension motion. Now, I'm going to now proceed to call each of the voting delegates. They will come to the table first, again, where Dr. Kurashina is seated, to receive the voting ballot and proceed to vote in the booth. First, I will call the Crushers delegate. I next call Dedido. Islanders. Quality. Rovers. Sidekicks. Southern Cobras. Southern Heat. Strikers. Tuman. Wings. And Wolverines. Right, all the votes have now been submitted. So I'm going to ask Dr. Hero to proceed with the count of the ballots. And first, we're going to count just the number of ballots that we have received from the voting delegates. We have received 12 ballots, and now we're going to examine the ballots to make sure that they're all validly cast. We have determined that all the votes were valid, and now I'm going to proceed to turn the results so that they can be projected on the projector. So please bear with us for a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. Here are the results for the status of suspension of Tigers SC. Suspension, 4 votes. No suspension, 8 votes. The motion for suspension fails. Thank you for your cooperation, and I now turn the floor back to General Secretary Joe Cepeda.
Thank you, Chairman Hurecki, for handling the secret ballots for the suspension of Tigers SC. GFA will continue to support the Tigers SC as well with all the member clubs as part of the President's initiative to further enhance our member club and the club's development plan. We now move to item H to approve the minutes. The 2022 GFA Congress, which was held in October 24th, 2022. These meeting minutes have been provided to you during the formal convocation as stipulated in the GFA statutes on October 9, 2023. The minutes have been reviewed and signed by the chairman of Electoral Committee, the minute checkers appointed for the said Congress, and the general secretary. Please use your placard. All in favor of the motion to approve the 2022 meeting minutes. May I ask John and Tiffany to kindly confirm the final counts for the said motion and announce the counts received. John and Tiffany, do you have a count? All right. 12 approve, 12 clubs approved the motion to approve the minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you for the approval of the 2022 Congress minutes. As we move to the next item of the agenda, item I, which covers the topic of the activity report. This report covers the time frame from the previous year until September 30, 2023. You should have a hard copy of the said activity report booklet on each table, which encompass 184 pages of various events and activities. We hope that you take the time to absorb all the dedication that each of you have been part of. The GFA Executive Committee, thank you for your true commitment to the sport. We also want to share that the same booklet was presented to the AFC as part of the nomination for the MA of the Year, which is the Ruby category. AFC ranked MAs 37 to 46. While speaking of nominations, the following are other categories that GFA has submitted nominations for. The AFC President's Recognition Award for Grassroots Football 2022, the bronze category. The AFC Special Grassroots Award 2023, Best Grassroots Club. The AFC Youth Player of the Year Award, both men's and women's. Next week in Doha, Qatar, the AFC will be hosting the annual award gala. We sincerely hope to be elected for one or more of the prestigious awards. As many of you were present here last year as we launched our GFA four-year strategic plan, I'd like to welcome our strategic review chairman, Mr. Chima Membakwin, to do a presentation of the past year milestones. Chairman Chima, the floor is yours.
The floor is yours. There you go. Have fun with it.
Are we going to have the PowerPoint up? Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this honorable occasion. Last year, I stood here to accept the responsibility of becoming the chairman of the four-year strategic plan. And the reason being that I have seen Guam football as something that would develop with time. But what we needed was to have a vision. And that vision was the strategic plan. We needed to see the big picture. We needed to identify what our visions are. And then we also needed to understand what the goals that we want to meet and our objectives. And one of the things I mentioned last year was we should not lose sight of our goals because we have timelines, but they are not cast in stone. And looking at what has happened in the past few months on our island and the amount of time we've taken to recover and how we came from moving very quickly to moving with our plan and how the typhoon stopped our plan. And the fact that we're able to recover right away, it took us a little time. Not just the families, but GFA as an entity, what they put back in there. And it's very dear to me to see that we were able to go back to playing soccer after just a few months after the typhoon, even without the lights. I enjoy going out there to play now. Is in the afternoon. You can see my tan lines, but I think I would want to play at night. So FIFA, please. I'm letting you know that I enjoy playing at night, but now I have my tan lines to show that we're still playing. Thank you, Mr. Tino. All right, next slide, please. These are the members of the strategic committee. I think we all know everyone here. Next slide. So when I discussed with Cherry about the traffic lights, it was a little confusing at the beginning because there was so much going on. But when I understood what the traffic lights meant, it became very easy. By just looking at what our objectives are and looking at the red light, which are things that we've not started or just starting, and then looking at the amber and the green, and looking at the fact that we're just 1 year into our strategic plan, we've had all these incidences in the past 1 year, and we're able to be in amber for 26. I think it's something that everyone in this room has contributed to one way or another. And I really appreciate the fact that we're able to do this, and it's easy and a snapshot for everyone to see that we are slowly and gradually going through our objectives. Next slide, please. These are our highlights, and I know everyone can read, but I just want to say that we resurfaced the turf, upgraded the floodlights, installed the medical room, and played a wonderful game here for, I think, the AFC. and then the typhoon hit. We were able to recover, and a few weeks ago, we played the World Cup qualifier. That shows resilience. That shows that everybody in this room is committed to making it work. And this will show that as we move along and continue to work as a team, we're going to achieve our vision for football development in Guam. Next slide, please. So what next? Clubs, the TDS, the typhoon recovery, and marketing. So we start with the clubs. With the president's initiative, it was very clear what he wanted to do. Development. I had a very interesting conversation yesterday with my friend in Nigeria. He's actually a FIFA licensed agent who is very passionate about development. I was on the phone with him for an hour, 30 minutes. And he kept saying, if you see these kids, you'll cry. They just need shoes to play. Because they'll play themselves out of poverty. They'll play themselves out of crime. He kept mentioning that. And on Guam, we're so blessed that we're in a community where we have clubs that have actually contributed to keeping kids out of the streets, giving kids a pathway to get into the national team. And we have to continue doing that by working with the president and his initiative to ensure that the clubs do what they need to do, continue what they need to do, to at least develop these teams. We don't want a situation where the kids keep competing. We need real coaches. We need real talents to be tapped. We need them to understand what football is all about and to do it correctly so that they'll represent our island and we have more competitions to watch and maybe build more stadiums. Next slide, please. So with the TDS, it's also making sure that we're following this to the latest. It's important that the clubs understand this and we're able to work as a unit, like I mentioned, working as a unit, working in partnership, working together for the island and for our children and for development to be able to achieve all this here. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is us in 2021. You can see all the solar panels. This was when I used to play at night. Next slide, please. This was it. This was a new turf. At least I got to play there against some people in this room. And I enjoyed it because I got to dive on the new turf and it was interesting because I've been diving on the other one for a long time. Next slide, please. This is it. It came. It destroyed everything. It was Tino who called me the night after. Right after the typhoon, I was on the phone with Tino for an hour, and we did it continuously for the next 1 week. He kept updating me on what he was doing. At some point, I was wondering, don't you have your own problem? You never mentioned, the tree that fell behind your house. It was the fence that fell at GFA, how they were picking up the debris and all that. Thank you for that level of commitment, sir. Yeah. So, next slide, please. So, this is where we are now. We're able to come out and play. Now we're saying that we're not doing what we're used to doing, but we're hoping with the plan and with the support of FIFA and AFC, we'll get back to doing what we're doing and also continue the development of our children to be able to participate in more competitions and we get to meet you guys more. Next slide. So for marketing, I think a lot has been done. At least a lot of people here bought their tickets online. Is an improvement. And we've seen the presence in the social media. We've seen the marketing for GFA. And I'm really grateful that we're able to have this strong digital presence and we'll continue to do that. Next slide, please. So the next strategic meeting will be in December when we'll all sit down and they will update me on what they're doing And then in the next Congress, I'm going to come and give a report, either good or bad, but I know it's good because with what we've been able to achieve in this 1 year, with all the incidences that has happened on our island and how we've been able to recover, like the governor said, we're very resilient. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Chairman Shima, for keeping us focused on the growth of the future generation. Moving to item J of the agenda, presentation of the 2022 audited financial statements. Please welcome Chairman of the Finance Committee, Mr. George Lai, to present to you regarding GFA's audited financial statements. Mr. Lai, the floor is yours.
Thank you, GS Joe. I'd like to take the opportunity to say hi to the FIFA, AFC brothers and sisters are here. Thank you again for coming. I have known you for many years and things like that, you know. So welcome to Guam, you know. The reason I recognize them, you guys will understand, they play a big part of our finance, you know. So welcome. You know. This year, I added some chart and diagrams to make it easier for everybody to understand the finance statements, you know. You can go on our GFA web and you can download the statements, but I find it, even I'm a businessman, sometimes could be very complicated, you know. So I just want to make it as simple as possible for our member association to understand. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, give you some information. GFA has been external audited by the CPA firm called Commerce and Burgers for the 9 years. And strict 9 years, we have a very clean opinions. So with that said, also because no secret, most of our money is the grant, again, from FIFA and AFC. Each year, they send their own auditors over here to audit our books. So make sure the book is clean, super clean. That's why they send us the money and grant to support the Guam Football Association. Thank you again, you know, thank you. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, I thought this is probably the easiest way to look at where your money comes from and things like that, you know. As you can see, most of the money, again, is from our big brothers and sisters for FIFA, and then also AFC. That amount to be close to 70% of our revenues. And then we have some leaks fees, 2022 way better than 2021 and 20 because of the pandemic. So we were able to get some additional money from the leads. And then also we have some sponsors locally, and then EAFF got the Korean Football Association as well as the Japan Football Association. They do give us a little funding and things like that, you know. But basically what I'm gonna tell you is 2022, and we bought in about close to $2.4 million for GFA. Okay, money comes in, money goes out. So actually, this one, for 2022, expenditure is more than what we bought in, you know. We spent a lot of money on the national team, amount about 40% to allow them to do the travel and accommodation and so forth, you know. And then with the administration costs, you know, the people that run for GFA, the depreciation of the building and things like that. And actually, 2022, we spent about $3.14 million. Okay, so next slide, please. So 2022, we bought about $2.39 million, and then we spent more than $3.14 million. Yeah, we have a shortfall about $749,000, but then luckily during the COVID time, 2020 and 21, we were able to get some money from FIFA, to help out. So we use that money to compensate the 2022 financial statements. Thank you. Okay, next page, please. This is our balance sheet as of December 31st, 2022. We do have some cash savings, 230 some thousand dollars, and then the restricted fund about almost 400,000. But this money, when restricted, means that you can only use it for specific purpose. FIFA might mandate like spend on the woman, on the youth, and so forth, and things like that. Total asset as 2022, December 31st for GFA is about $4.366 million. On the liability side, you see the total current liability about $575,000. So at the bottom, the total liability in the net asset is also equal to $4.366 million. Okay, this concludes my financial report for 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George Lai, for the presentation of the audited financial statements and audit summary. The floor is open for any discussion before we motion to approve the 2022 audited financial statements. Are there any questions or discussion? Thank you. Please use your placard. All in favor of the motion to approve the 2022 audited financial statements? John and Alexi, please kindly confirm the counts. Okay, thank you. 11 clubs approved the motion, and the motion has been approved. Moving to item K of the agenda, which is the presentation of the 2024 budget. Mr. Lai, may you please present next year's budget plan?
Okay, half a day again. Okay, budget 2024, next year. Okay, the management, EXCO, president, we got together to figure this strategic plan for 2024, and the budget that we sent out on October the 9th to all the presidents, this was the best estimate at the time that when we did the budget. So, for example, typhoon damage came in. Also, we were actually expecting the Mattel to advance to second round. So it did not happen. So therefore, the budget is going to be somewhat changed and different. And again, at the GFA, the management doing our best to present the best we can, for what we think is for 2024. Okay, big number. Again, the revenue side, most of the monies are coming from FIFA and AFC again. Thank you. It amounts to be about $1.5 million from FIFA on 2024, and then another $677,000 from AFC, Asia Football Confederation. Yeah, and then the rest from sponsorship, league fees, sales. We actually start selling some merchandising right now, Mattel and Masakata and things like that, So total revenue that we were expecting was about $4 million. Okay, next page, please. We intended to invest a good budget for the competition and grassroots and event up to about $500,000. If you go back and look at it, that means we're going to spend money on like referee clinics, club development, grassroots, social responsibility, marketing, IT, and staffing as well. The big disbursement, again, expensive, is on the competitions, and that's the national team from Mattel, Masakata. Like President said, this year, I think last year we sent about 10 teams, right? Off island and things like that. So we don't expect to slow down for 2024. Matter of fact, the tournament from EAFF and also AFC that we're going to be sending our national team to participate, Okay, the big number below the national team is the infrastructure projects. This was due to the typhoon Mawa, but then we were kind of fortunate, able to apply more grant to FIFA and AFC, and then hopefully when those money comes in, we can fix the facilities, and then can you go next page, please? So you see a big amount, about $4.5 million. We have planned or already submitted our infrastructure plans for AFC, and also I think it was approved. That's what Jan told me. AFC responsibility for typhoon recovery, and then the big one is like hopefully we get the FIFA Forward 1.0 and 2.0 infrastructure that will give us amount about $3.5 million. This concludes my budget for 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George Lai, for the presentation of the 2024 budget. We now move to the item M of the agenda, which is to vote on the proposed amendment to the GFA Statutes Edition 2021. The supporting details of the amendments have been transmitted to the presidents of each member club on the 9th of October 2023. It is also displayed on the tablet on page 36 to 40. Without further ado, we would like to motion to approve the amendments to the GFA statutes in block. Before proceeding the motion to approve the amendments, the floor is open for any discussion before we motion to approve the amendments presented to the member clubs. Are there any discussion? Again, please use your placard. All in favor of the motion to approve the amendments to the GFA Statutes Edition 2021 as presented to the Congress. I ask John and Lexi may you kindly confirm the final counts. Thank you. 12 clubs approved the motion, and the motion has been approved. Thank you, Mr. John Barnhart and Ms. Alexi Dakanai. For your assistance, you may return to your club stable. Many thanks to all the voting delegates for your cooperation and support on the above items of the agenda. We now move to item N of the agenda. We move to the election of the 5 seats at large. This session will be led by the GFA Electoral Committee, who has been instrumental in the preparation of tonight's election. Again, Mr. Chairman Fred Horecki, Deputy Chairman Dr. Hiro Kushina, and Member Mr. Brad Husman. Mr. Horecki, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be before you for this second election. On behalf of the Electoral Committee, it is my pleasure to explain the process and voting procedure for the election of 5 at-large seats on the Executive Committee. Due to no nominations submitted for the GFA Disciplinary and Ethics Committee, there will be no confirmation for this position tonight. As we now approach the final matter of tonight's Congress, the GFA statutes, edition 2021, and GFA Electoral Code govern GFA's electoral process. This event shall further enhance the integrity of GFA's governance and best practices. For this year's election for the 5 at-large seats, the GFA Electoral Committee originally received 7 candidatures for the at-large positions on the Executive Committee at least 45 days from the date of the Congress in accordance with the GFA statutes. Upon completion of the submission of the required applications and materials, all 7 candidatures were validated in accordance with the GFA statutes. The GFA member clubs were provided an official list of candidates at least 15 days before the elective Congress date, as again required by the GFA statutes. A hard copy of the list of candidates has been provided to you tonight. Tonight, I'd like to now introduce the candidates, and please give them a warm applause. Fred Allig II. Kelly Barnhart. Joaquin Cook. Jason Cunliffe. Dwayne Paul. Giant Tenorio. Peter Toves. I will now explain how the election will proceed. The ballots have been produced with the 7 candidates' names with a box next to each name. Ballots for each voting club have been provided to the Electoral Committee by the GFA Secretariat. The voting delegates are to vote for up to 5 candidates on the ballot, no more than 5. You may vote for the candidate by placing a mark in the box next to the candidate's name. The mark may be an X, a check, a filling in or shading of the box, or other mark clearly indicating the voter's intent to select a particular candidate. No other marks on the ballot other than a mark in the box next to the candidate's name will be counted as a valid vote. The following ballots will be considered as spoiled. Ballots that bear any words other than the names of the candidates. Ballots that are left blank. Ballots that are illegible or have been defaced. And ballots that bear identifying marks. Before the start of voting, the ballot box is presented before you by Mr. Huesman here on the table. Mr. Huesman, could you demonstrate that it's empty and no previous votes? Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kurashina, I'm going to ask you to count the number of ballots to determine how many ballots the Electoral Committee has received for the at-large seats. All right, thank you. We have 12 ballots presented. Now the polling booth again, you know where that is to my left. It's established so that each delegate can complete the voting process in private as required by the GFA statutes. Please be reminded that no mobile phones are permitted into the polling booth. You should leave your phones at the place where you're seated. I will call each voting delegate to come to the table where Dr. Hiro Kurashina is seated. The delegate will sign the electoral register to obtain the ballot. The voting delegate shall complete the ballot in the polling booth and upon completion, proceed to the table where Mr. Huseman is located. With the ballot box, when in the ballot box and afterwards, fold the ballot in half and then present it at the second register with Mr. Huseman, indicating, and he will indicate that the delegate has voted. Based on today's meeting, we have 12 eligible clubs to submit their votes. I now verify that we have before us 12 ballots. Please remember that any ballot cast with any names other than the official candidates or more than maximum marks shall be considered null and void and will not count towards the official vote count. I will now read Article 32.7 of the GFA Statutes, edition 2021. For the election of the other members at large of the Executive Committee by position, the candidates who receive the most votes in respect of the free seats shall be elected. In the event of a tie, the process in paragraph 32.6.A1 shall be followed. Article 32.6A1 of the GFA Statutes, edition 2021, reads, if a tie occurs, a second ballot shall take place, and the candidate who receives the most number of votes shall be elected. Before we proceed to the at-large election, since Mr. Joseph Roberto will not be running for the next term, I would ask you members of the GFA to join me in expressing sincere thanks for his term as an executive committee member and as chairperson for the referee committee for the last 4 years. May we give our warm applause and thanks for his services to the football community. We will now proceed to the at-large election. I would like to ask all 5 members to rise and step down to the seats on the floor while we proceed with the votes. I believe the seats are located on the other side in the middle. So if the 5 members running could please sit in that area. Thank you. And I would also please request that you all recognize the service of these 5 executive committee members with your applause and thanks. As before, I will now call each club name and the voting delegate, and the delegate should come to the table where Dr. Kurashina is seated to sign the check-in registration and to receive the ballot, and then proceed to the ballot booth. So the voting delegate will approach when I call the name of the club. First, Dedido. Islanders. Quality.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Crushers is in the house.
Oh, yes. Yes, my apologies to Crushers. I guess since you weren't here in the beginning, I wasn't sure if you were on the voting, but please approach. Excuse me for that oversight. Rovers. Sidekicks. Southern Cobras. Southern Heat. Strikers. Tuman. Wings. And Wolverines. All the votes have now been submitted, and I will ask Dr. Hiro Kurashina to proceed with the count of the ballots. All right, we have 12 ballots that have been submitted and will now proceed to the validation of the ballots. All the ballots appear to be valid, so we will now proceed to the count of the number of votes for each candidature and then sign the tally sheet. So please bear with us for a few moments. The members have counted the votes, and we've signed the sheet indicating approval of the voting scores. So now I will proceed to have them posted, and then I'll shortly announce the results. Thank you.
Good evening, Congress. I'd like to recognize a special guest, FIFA Regional Technical Consultant, Mr. Mike Wong.
Send us more money, Mike. Give me more money.
Thank you for bearing with us. Announcing the 5 at-large members, here are the results for the candidates in the order in which they appeared on the ballot. Fred Allig, 7 votes. Kelly Barnhart, 8 votes. Joaquin Cook, 6 votes. Jason Cunliffe, 6 votes. Dwayne Paul, 9 votes. Giant Tenorio, 7 votes. Pete Tovez, 9 votes. So we will give congratulations to the 5 elected at-large members: Fred Allig, Kelly Barnhart, Dwayne Paul, Giant Tenorio, and Peter Tovis. And they will be these will be the appointed executive committee members of GFA for the term of 2023 to 2027. May I ask the appointed members to rise and proceed to the executive committee member table and take a seat with your fellow members. In closing this election, I'd like to welcome the new at-large members of the GFA Executive Committee and thank the candidates for being present before the Congress. I sincerely hope that you will all continue with your involvement in this sport and organization. Furthermore, I would like to give accolades to the voting members for their efficient collaboration to successfully execute the election under the GFA statutes and the GFA Electoral Code. Finally, let us give thanks earlier to the governor for appearing here with you tonight. Also to FIFA and the AFC for their presence with us to witness and attest to the success of tonight's event. I would now like to turn the proceedings back over to General Secretary, Mr. Joseph Peda. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Harecki and the GFA Electoral Committee for executing the election according to the GFA Electoral Code and the GFA statutes. I turn the floor to President Tino Sengil for his closing remarks.
Before we close, I'd like to ask Joe Roberto to please come up. Joe? So Joe, in recognition from the Executive Committee for your hard work, especially as the chairman of referee, 50% don't like you. So, okay, anyway, we'd like to thank you for your serving for GFA's Executive Committee for the last 8 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I was asked to say something, but I'll tell you what, it's been a real pleasure. Just know I'm not gone. I just left that seat, but my grandson still plays, so I'll be there every Saturday, and nothing has changed. But I just want to share that no negativity at all by me leaving. There's somebody had approached me at the last women's game like, hey, they kicked you out. I said, no. I actually, I want to recognize Matthew Hunter. Could you raise your hand or stand up? Yeah, Matthew Hunter is our vice chairman for the Guam Contractors Association, and I'm the chairman. So I made a commitment 4 years ago when I was elected as chair, and I kept putting it off to remain focused. So I said, I asked the organization of about 500 members strong, very large organization. that please give me some time, let me just do this. And then, I said, you guys, it's really, I enjoy, I love all you guys. And I really enjoy being here. But there's something at large that's very important that needs to happen. So a very special friend of mine needs a lot of help. Matt is there also to help. He's a very special person to us, and the sacrifice is going to be well worth it. But I'll still be around. I'll still be supporting my grandson, saying hi to everyone. Thank you very much.
Well, we truly appreciate our distinguished guests from FIFA and AFC who has continuously provided support to us and still aim to advocate for the Guam FA. Thank you for your dedication and also for being here tonight. We look forward to a strong finish in 2023, and we are excited for 2024 with a positive light. Positive light means we're going to build our towers back. Okay. So I'd like to turn over now to the General Secretary, Joe Spiel.
As we conclude tonight's 2023 Ordinary Congress at 9:09 p.m., please join us in 8:09. Please join us in the dinner that is ready to be served right outside the hallway. Thank you.
Maybe two.